People go to see the adversity, the brutality, and the aggressiveness, and it's Mike Tyson.
Welcome back to the Big Fight Recap here on BLTV Classic.
I dare them challenge me with their somewhat primitive skills. They're just as good as dead.
On today's video, we look back on the night Tyson squared up with a man he admired and respected for the way he carried himself as a fighter, but in the same breath, feared for his might as a concussive knockout artist, desperate to please one of the most hardcore fan bases in the sport's history.
And I think this is the peak time to beat a Mike Tyson and Harry. You know, I really do believe so.
Frank Bruno was a mountain of a man, physically imposing but often branded as one-dimensional due to being a big puncher that looked out of ideas and more notably out of gas once the famed right hand had withered after the opening rounds. However, on his best night, he could put his work together very nicely, something his most cultivated opponents, including Mike Tyson, would attest to once the dust was settled.
How was he punching? Was it hurting him?
He punches like a f***ing meal kit. Oh my God. Because he's trying to impress his Englishmen out here.
Here comes Mike, spikes in. He leads to the right hand. Down he goes. I don't think you'll get up from this.
After Tyson's first-round annihilation job over the recognized lineal champion Michael Spinks, the Brooklyn Bomber was at his peak of notoriety amongst global audiences.
Mike Tyson. We'll be back right after this.
At just 21 years of age, he was a remarkably well-honed talent that turned a meritorious heavyweight division on its head. A destructive knockout machine who racked up impressive victories using his intelligence and boxing IQ beyond his years to clear out almost every top-rated heavyweight on his route to undisputed.
I knew when I came to this fight, I was the best fighter in the world, and not a man alive that can beat me.
In the ring, it was perfect, faultless. But the pressure of such copious success, with his long-term trainer and mentor Customato no longer around to guide him, became all too much to handle as the chinks in the iron armor were magnified by a select group Mike had started to abhor even more than his rivals in the ring, the press.
I'm not saying all of you because a lot of reporters are my friends, but a lot of you are assholes.
By the age of 21, Tyson was a divorcee to a woman already in the public eye and knew how to spin a story that the press would eat up.
I become vulnerable because you attack somebody I love, like my wife and my mother-in-law.
They were also printing fake news BS about his family, going as far as publishing misinformation regarding Tyson's mental state.
I think he's got a really bad image, but he doesn't help himself. He comes across as a bit of an animal, and I think he kind of revels in that public image in some respects.
Mike was going through a tough time, as most young people who are accustomed to superstardom at such a young age often do. However, boxing was still his bread and butter, the foundation of his entire existence to this point. So boxing fans were hopeful that a few blips in his personal life wouldn't affect his career moving forward.
Well, that's your first experience of a British audience. They seem to like you.
Hi.
And then, in stepped Royal Britannia. It would only take a short trip to England during the peak of Tyson's conflict with the American press to realize, actually, not everyone cared for the details of every aspect of his personal life. And, in fact, being the youngest heavyweight champion in history was enough to appease the public without having their views skewed by daily hit pieces from the media. While the trip proved to be a good form of escapism, it was actually all business from Tyson's end. He was here to weigh up his next opponent, Frank Bruno, a darling of the nation and a credible contender for his throne.
Now you saw Frank Bruno today. Yeah. Is he in good shape?
He looks in great shape.
Does he?
Despite suffering a couple of setbacks during his career, Frank Bruno was one of the hardest punchers in world boxing, verified by his striking 97% knockout rate. Built like a man that looked set for the bodybuilding stage, but deadly with a pair of gloves on, his physique was his biggest selling point, but also his most significant detriment. After a few rounds of fighting, the lactic acid buildup made it arduous for him to even lift his arms up, let alone put the shots together required to compete against sterner tests in the division.
I've been training for a long time. Mentally, I feel very, very strong. Physically, I feel very strong. I need to polish up on a few little things, and I've got an animal coming in at me, but I'm very confident because I've been in with that animal before, Harry. And that's no bull.
Nevertheless, while most of the Brits were willing to accept Tyson for who he was as a fighter alone, Bruno paid close attention to the drama in his life and used the unhinged narrative to fuel his motivation of further cracking what appeared to be chinks in the armor.
And I know him, and I'm not going to get into that sort of like bandwagon, like, oh, Tyson this, Iron Mike this, Iron that. You don't realise that the guy had a car crash, he damaged his hand, he broke up with his wife, all his mind is not on the game. On this fight, his mind not conditioned for this fight, and I was confident before all this happened And I think this is a peak time to beat a Mike Tyson and Harry. You know, I really do believe so.
The Tyson-Bruno sit-down face-off was fascinating, as the boxing world realized that even though these two were preparing to rip each other's heads off, there was an underlying respect that's very rare in sports competition, let alone prize fighting.
But it's real difficult for me to believe that Frank Bruno saved from a life of crime.
Now, he always said that
meeting the guy and talking with the guy, I can't picture him being a fighter. Such a sweet guy. You want to give him a hug and give him a kiss.
Mike and Frank went a long way back, as their trainers linked up on a few occasions when they were still teenagers to help them prepare for the professional ring. They also shared similar upbringings, both from the street, now fighting to better the lives of those around them.
My favorite guy. I mean, this is a business that we go through. I fought a couple of guys that I like. I like Michael Spinks a great deal. I admire him a great deal, watching him as I was a kid. I mean, having a great deal of admiration for him. But you know, this is our business. I mean, if he wins, he goes up. If I win, I move up another step. That's the objective.
The respect was evident for all to see, but under lights, between a roaring crowd, it's survival of the fittest. Friendships are irrelevant when competing in the loneliest sport in the world.
Mike is giving away 3.5 inches in height. He's giving away 10 pounds in weight. He's 5 years younger, and he's giving up 11 inches in reach.
Tyson met Bruno for the first time on February 25, 1989 at the Hilton Center in Las Vegas. Bruno brought an impressive 5,000 fans over to America, which made the fight feel more like it was taking place on neutral territory, which is absurd given the pulling power from Tyson, but a testament to the die-hard British fans that offered the utmost support, despite the fact their man was an 8-to-1 underdog going into the Lion's Den.
He has the same disadvantage as a lion going against a zebra, and I'd have to agree. Let's see how quick he starts. Bruno tries to keep him off. Bruno showing that he's not afraid, hanging on. Bruno's already tagged with the right hand. And there goes Bruno for the first fight. The first right hand that got him, he was down.
A nervous breakdown? Caught cold? Call it what you will. Tyson came out and attempted to score the quickest KO in heavyweight championship history as Bruno was stunned by the speed of Tyson's right hand.
If ever there was a guy fighting like a raging bull, it's Mike Tyson. He got tagged again by a right hand. He's trying to hang on to Mike and hit. Tyson hit with a light left hand. Doesn't do anything to him. Tyson back up bouncing. Well, all the questions about distractions have been answered as Tyson attacks. I don't think points will mean anything by the time this fight's over. Now Frank comes very slowly across the ring. He knows he's in with a book. Tyson gets nailed with a left hook. Tyson looks wobbly as he attacks Bruno. Bruno continues to throw. Tyson was caught and wobbled. A bell ends, round number 1, and the crowd loves it.
The bell came at a good time for Tyson, as he was, by the horse's mouth, in the most trouble of his entire career. But once again, Bruno put a lot of effort into that barrage, which inevitably slowed him down as the fight continued.
The right hand catches Bruno. Left hook. Bruno looks ready to go. Now is when he's going to hang on. And he does. Round 3 is an important round. In such magnificent shape. Tyson, lightning hands. It's a question of time before Mike catches him. Bruno at no stage inside is going to get Tyson both hands free. They continue to fight after the bell.
By the end of the 4th, Tyson was fed up with Bruno's grabbing and mauling, so he decided to rally up a vicious assault to try and close the show as soon as possible.
Terry Lawless and George Francis the keys. Tyson just really bores in like a madman almost. Frank has got to start throwing that right hand. Bruno is caught by a right hand and a left hook. Bruno comes back and catches Tyson. Vicious body shot. Light. Ooh, another right hand gets through. He had the hit, no doubt. Bruno is caught that time, and Tyson knows it. Tyson trying to attack now to finish him off. Tyson gives him room to come off the ropes. Scores with the uppercut. Lands a big right hand. Bruno's in big trouble now. He's ready to go. Fighter cannot be saved by the bell as the big right hand lands. Tyson knows he's got him in big trouble. If he doesn't answer it, Richard Steele has moved in and has stopped the fight. It's all over. Michael Tyson wins on a 5th round TKO.
Bruno showed a good chin and fighting heart to stay on his feet, but the referee made the right decision as the big Brit was incapable of defending himself against Tyson's ferocious uppercuts and hooks.
Mike, another one on your belt, another notch. Was this harder than you anticipated?
No, not at all, because I knew that he was going to come up. He was talking, and And the way he was talking, I knew he was hyped. He was ready to go. And I knew I was the best fighter in the world.
Tyson showed his respect once more, for not only Bruno as a friend, but now as a fighter, as for a brief moment he came closer than any man before him in doing what many boxing fans thought impossible.
Were you then surprised that he came back and he seemed to hit you with a pretty good left in that round?
He got up. He meant business after, oh man.
Bruno would go on to have many big nights in his career, including his infamous showdown with fellow Brit Lennox Lewis, where many would argue, including myself, we saw the true potential of what Frank can be, a world beater. And he would later go on to prove that by becoming a world champion in 1995, defeating the Atomic Bull Oliver McCall over the distance in a decent display.
In favor of the winner and new
It was a beautiful feeling. It was about 1 million orgasms. Felt tall, felt good, felt proud, felt privileged.
Tyson and Bruno met in the ring again in 1996, but that's a story we'll cover later as the series continues. Until next time, this has been the Tyson Chronicles on BLTV Classic.
Well, regardless if he wasn't or not, if he was to lose every fight, you know what I mean, after this fight, every fight in a row, you know, he would always be my friend. You know what I mean, for the love and respect and admiration I have for him.